On July 8, 2022, the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was giving a speech in Nara to assist the campaign of a political ally. Shortly after starting his speech, the popular politician was struck down by an assassin's bullet. As the country came to terms with the news, there were clearly some things that were going to change. One of those things, unexpectedly, was a little-known comedy anime called Teppen, Laugh Till You Cry. In an unusual twist of fate, the second episode was about an assassination plot, and it was set to air the day after the assassination of Shinzo Abe. This can only be described as unfortunate timing. But this isn't the first time that a currently airing anime has been bizarrely similar to real-world tragedy. In the summer of 2003, the second season of Full Metal Panic had begun airing. The first season was a show with mecha battles, action, and a bit of fan service. The second season, titled Full Metal Panic Fumafu, sought to change it up by giving the more serious elements a comedic twist. One such story involved the kidnapping of Kaname Chidori by a local gang. The show's protagonist, Sagara Sosuke, refuses the gang's demands, and instead kidnaps the younger brother of the gang's leader. Shortly before this episode was to air, a disturbing story was making national news. In Nagasaki, a 4-year-old boy had been abducted and was murdered by a middle school student. Now, the details are pretty horrible, so I'm not going to share them here. But because of the similarities to the episode of Full Metal Panic Fumafu, it was left unaired. It was, however, released on DVD. In September 2007, an anime based off the erotic game School Days was set to air its final episode. School Days is known for its love triangles, universally hated protagonist, and very violent ending. In Kyoto Nabe on September 19th, a 16-year-old girl used an axe to murder her father in the early morning hours. Of course, the similarities of a high school-age girl committing such a brutal act to the ending of School Days resulted in the final episode being pulled. And strangely, a video of European scenery filled its time slot. A video that at some point featured a boat, and this combined with some scenes from School Days gave rise to the nice boat meme. In a gesture to fans, Overflow, the publisher of the Windows version of the School Days game, rented a theater in Akihabara to screen the final episode. Fans wishing to attend were required to register beforehand and bring a Windows copy of the game, as well as a photo ID. On March 11, 2011, the Great Toho earthquake struck Japan. The earthquake and resulting tsunami claimed the lives of around 20,000 people. Obviously, such a massive disaster warranted the rescheduling and canceling of many shows to allow room for the vital flow of information. One show that was delayed was the last 2 episodes of Madoka Magica. This in itself was not unusual since many other shows were delayed. However, the last 2 episodes of Madoka Magica showed a large-scale disaster and many people sheltering in a scene that many Japanese people at the time were experiencing for real. The final episodes did air over a month later on April 21st. Another show at the time had an even worse case of bad timing. Because I Don't Like My Big Brother at All was a silly, lowbrow fan service comedy about a girl that has a crush on her older brother. The 10th episode shows a trio of high school boys being washed away in a figurative tsunami. Now, this would have been bad enough to air at the time, but it's even worse that the scene aired with actual tsunami warnings on the screen. The episode is listed to have aired on the 13th, which is 2 days after the initial disaster. And I can only conclude that the listing is a mistake, or the airing of the episode is a massive oversight. Either way, that is some seriously bad timing. The shonen series Fire Force is about a world where people spontaneously combust and turn into rampaging monsters. The heroes of the story have supernatural powers that allow them to literally fight fire with fire. On July 18, 2019, a deranged 41-year-old man carried out one of Japan's most deadly mass murders when he set fire to the Kyoto Animation Studio. The act of arson cost the lives of 36 people. Given the subject matter of Fire Force, it makes sense that the 3rd episode of the show would be delayed. David Production, the studio animating Fire Force, used this time to redo a scene from the unaired 3rd episode. Even in its altered state, the scene was still really graphic, and it would have been in poor taste to air it so soon after such a tragedy. Of course, anime doesn't have a monopoly on bad timing with real-world tragedies. One that comes to my mind is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. An early teaser of the movie showed Spider-Man spinning a web between the Twin Towers to catch a helicopter. The scene had to be redone before the movie was released because of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Anime may not be the only media that has paralleled real-world tragedies, but I do find it unusual how often it seems to have happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some I've missed. So if you happen to think of some, please let me know. And thanks for watching.